I saw it on the Secular Chalk channel, which I'm still subscribed to, of course. Of course. Why wouldn't I be? So, I'm not going to watch his whole entire video on this because, honestly, I just can't. I don't have that. I'm not that kind of person. It's 20 minutes. But I'm going to watch it, like, because it starts off really well. So, I want to check this out. All right, so Kyle Kulinski, host of Secular Talk, and what is this other one? Krystal, Kyle, and Friends. Well, more like Krystal, Kyle, and no friends, because Kyle Kulinski has no friends. Let's watch.
There's an interesting thing that I'd like to talk to you about, Krystal, and get your feelings on this. So,
okay.
Joe Rogan is, in my opinion, he's a genuinely decent person. He's a nice guy. He's, at this point, probably the only person in this industry who I would consider a friend. You know, I mean, let's see.
Look at Krystal. She's trying not to laugh right now. She's like, first of all, what about me? Am I like, I'm sitting right here. Am I not your friend? Am I not your, like, first of all, I'm literally right here. You know what I mean? So,
Cenk Uygur hates my guts because of my feelings on the Jimmy Dore situation. Anna Kasparian hates my guts because of the feelings on the Jimmy Dore situation. Jimmy Dore hates my guts because of my feelings on that same situation.
Now, okay, let's assume. All right, are you telling me Kyle Kulinski had 4 friends? So, not my co-host, Krystal Ball. She's just my co-host. She's my co-worker. It's like walking in to like the Home Depot and like you go like, oh, hey Jeb, it's just my coworker. You just say hi, you clock in, maybe you like, you know, play cards at lunch and then you go home. It's my coworker. But my 4 friends are Cenk Uygur, Anna Kasparian, Jimmy Dore, and Joe Rogan, and now 3 of them hate me. Like, I'm sorry, I clicked on this video because I thought it would be embarrassing. I had no idea that the first 40 seconds would just be like, I can stop my video right here, and this is already funny as hell. So let's keep going though. It gets better.
So let's just say I'm a lonely man, and Joe Rogan is actually one of the few who has been. It's been very just like a normal guy who he's easy to talk to.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, before we get into specific comments.
Now I want to be very clear: a normal guy who's easy to talk to. Now, I want everyone to take a little look at what Kyle Kulinski is. Now, again, identity politics. I know. Do you think Joe Rogan is easy to talk to if you're a trans person? I'm just saying, I'm being honest. I'm being real about this. Like, he's easy to talk to for you because of who you are and what you are. That's why he's easy to talk to.
Here, which I have disagreements with,
right?
Pretty strong disagreements. I do think he generally gets a bad rap on the left, and I know that you did a monologue about this a while ago, because what happens is, anytime Joe Rogan says left-wing stuff, it's never news. Nobody talks about it. There's a guy who's in favor of a living wage, $15 minimum wage. There's a guy who's in favor of universal health care. This is a guy who's in favor of ending the wars, and you go down the policy.
So now, I will be honest, I don't watch Joe Rogan's show. So this may be a very real phenomenon. It's very possible. Right? That he's secretly a left-winger. He's ultra-left. It just so happens that all of his marketing on his show is right-wing garbage. Now, again, right, if I had millions and millions of dollars and I felt like I was being maligned as being a right-winger, you know what I would do? I would double down on my left-wing policies. I would triple down on my left-wing policies. I would have left-wingers on my show, you know, and I would talk about how great these policies are, and I would spend money to make sure everyone knows how far left I am if I had hundreds of millions of dollars. Right? That's what I would do. But for whatever reason, Joe Rogan doesn't do that because he's okay being viewed as someone who's on the right. He's fine with that. If you've got hundreds of millions of dollars, you can do anything you want. You can make your image anything you possibly want. Look at Elon Musk, for example. I know he's got a lot more money than Joe Rogan. But like, you can look at Bill Gates. You can buy yourself any kind of identity you want if you've got hundreds of millions or billions of dollars. It's just facts.
List, and he's correct on all those issues, but it never makes news when he says it. It only seems to make news when he says conservative things, because then the conservatives love him for it and they give him endless praise, and then the lefties attack him. Right. And so you get this skewed picture that he's on the right. Now, I will say, it's not the case that, like, with Joe, he never talks about the left things, because he does. It's just not covered. Because there are some people who like to say, oh, I'm on the left, but 100% of the time that they talk, they're just saying conservative things. And those people are like charlatans and frauds, and they're...
Like Jimmy Dore? Possibly? Hey, I'm just throwing that... Hey, it's out
They found
there.
a niche and they're exploiting that. But Joe is definitely not that, because he talks about his left-wing positions, just nobody seems to care or write articles about it when he does, and nobody highlights it when he does.
Yeah, I mean, a perfect...
So, okay. If let's assume... Alright, I'm Kyle Kulinski. Yes, I'm watching this on 1.5x speed. I'm Kyle Kulinski. My best friend is getting attacked, maligned, smeared in the media. Why don't you make videos about how Joe Rogan said something left-wing? Maybe, I don't know, make a video once or twice a week about how he said something left-wing. It's out, it's an idea.
Example of this is that infamous clip where he just completely owned Dave Rubin on Rubin's like ridiculous fantasy libertarian views around housing regulation.
Obliterated Dave Rubin, in a legendary fashion. That clip was amazing.
Yeah.
Wait, I got more. Obliterated Candace Owens in a way that was legendary. I got more. Obliterated Steven Crowder in a way that was legendary.
I don't even know about that one.
See, that's what I'm saying. So people, it's a little frustrating because you get the sense that he's this guy that he's not.
That he's doctrinaire right-wing. When the reality is he has views that are across the spectrum. He's heterodox. I mean, you just pointed out some of the things that are definitely lefty. I mean, the guy said he was going to vote for Bernie Sanders, for God's sake. So he's definitely not some, the right-wing caricature that the media makes him out as. And I've always thought it was foolish from a lefty perspective, as someone who wants to see these values broadly shared, that you wouldn't. The right has been very savvy in, claiming him as their own. Why wouldn't you do that when he agrees with you on so much? And there was an interesting moment, the podcast recently that got so much attention with Sanjay Gupta, where they talked about the horse deworming thing and whatever, and Joe was completely 100% right about the way that CNN intentionally mischaracterized that. But Sanjay was...
We're going to talk about this too, because in my experience, Joe is genuinely...
Yes.
So anyway...
it's one of his more likable traits, for sure.
So Jesus Christ, so he's got a 4-minute fucking... So the video's about Joe Rogan and paid paternity leave, okay? And so, the first 4 minutes is, wah, nobody likes me. Joe Rogan is a great guy, just hear me out, trust me, bro. And by the way, I love Joe Rogan. But now, let's get into the video.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So he was talking to Bridget Fetisi here, and they were talking about Pete Buttigieg and the paternity leave that he was taking. Now, you're not going to see that in this clip. I wanted the longer clip, but we were having issues with it. I only was able to get the shorter clip where he's talking about this. So we'll get into that more afterwards. The conversation started with Pete Buttigieg, and then now we get to the broader topic of paid paternity leave, and here's what happens.
I'm questioning who do you believe should pay for something like that?
I don't know, but if I was an employer and
The government! That's what the fucking government's there for! They spend trillions of motherfucking dollars on motherfucking war, on killing people. How about, instead of spending those trillions of dollars, they spend it on shit like paternity leave? Joe Rogan, I thought he's a left-winger. I thought he was for all these big things, like a $15 minimum. Huh? Paternity leave? How are you gonna pay for it? How are you gonna pay for it? How are you gonna pay for it? How are you gonna pay for it?
I had a guy who worked for me. I had a guy who worked for me who wanted to take 3 months off because his wife gave birth. I'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about, Mike?
Even to support his wife?
Did you give birth? To support his wife, I pay him for free. Do you understand that this is most people, when this happens, if they make enough money, the wife will not work and the father will work.
Right.
And then the wife takes care of the child. And this is normal.
Yeah.
And then,
again, like I said in my previous clip, right? You know what else is normal? Homelessness. That's normal. So I guess we shouldn't do anything. You know what else is normal? School shootings. It's normal, so let's do nothing. You know what else is normal? Overdoses. It's normal. Nothing we can do. You know what else is normal? Teen suicide. Oh, you want to do something about kids killing themselves? Well, don't you know it's normal? What does normal even fucking mean?
and the dad provides support when he comes home. If you're saying that the man and the woman should both get like 3 months off, this is a new thing.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, it's not new in Europe, but
we're not in Europe. This is better. This is America.
Okay, so before we get to the specific comments there, the thing that started the conversation was Pete Buttigieg. Now, Pete Buttigieg is the Secretary of Transportation. He's taken off, how long has it been now?
3 months, I think.
He's taken off 3 months. When he's Secretary of Transportation and we have a supply chain crisis and you got like 1,000 ships that are lined up in the port of LA. Mm-hmm. And so the point that people are...
Right, so Pete Buttigieg himself is going to stop the supply chain crisis. No! Global capitalism is failing. There are millions of less consumers. Millions of people have no money. So there's all these goods that are being backed up. There's also, right, overproduction of garbage. So there's a lot more supply and a lot less demand, and that's causing clogs everywhere. What the fuck? Oh, Pete Buttigieg, is he a superhero? Is he gonna come down with his cape? And he's gonna fly in there and pick up the fucking supply crates and just throw them into the small businesses? They're gonna just like crash through the windows and then like all fly onto the shelves perfectly like in a cartoon? What is fucking Pete Buttigieg supposed to be doing? And also, I don't know if you know this. When the secretary of any administration is on vacation, there's an undersecretary who takes over that position. It's not like, oh, my 4th grade teacher is on maternity leave, so I guess we're just not gonna have class for 3 months. No, it's called someone else. Oh, sorry, the school bus driver is on paternity leave, so you're gonna have to walk to school. Yeah, it's 3 miles. Oh yeah, 4 months. No, someone else takes that position during that time where they're away. How fucking...
We're making. And again, I'm not sure how directly involved the Secretary of Transportation would be with this issue, but the claim seems to be that, oh yes, he's actually the one who's like mostly in charge.
Yeah.
And so he needs to be there.
Right. I mean, ultimately, I did a monologue on this on Breaking Points, and ultimately where I came down is like, let's stop pretending that Pete Buttigieg would have done anything about a supply chain crisis. Like,
okay, so that's actually a decent take. Okay, good.
I mean, it sort of exposes how irrelevant he is to the whole process. But if you stipulated that he was a critical link and he is the reason why the supply chain has broken down and not enough has been done about it and that this is impacting millions of Americans, and you stepped up for this job where you have a responsibility always, of course, to yourself and your family and your new babies and all of that, but you also have a responsibility to the American people that you have taken on here.
Right. So I covered this too, and my takeaway was, I think it's a reasonable criticism. Because let's not pretend like all jobs are exactly the same. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I made the joke to you when we first heard about this. I was like, I'm going to run for president, win, and then on day one be like, I'm going on paternity leave for 5 months or whatever. And I mean, it's comical, right? Because the general idea is, yes, there's some positions, some jobs that are so important that it's almost, you don't need to say it. It's kind of understood that your nose better be the grindstone. You better be, working extra hard.
I'm going to be honest with y'all. The Secretary of Transportation is not one of those jobs. I'm just throwing that out there. Like, I'm just letting everyone know. The president maybe shouldn't have paternity leave. Maybe. The Secretary of Transportation, I'm sorry, they're so irrelevant.
And you don't really get the same sort of standard things that people with regular jobs would get. Would you disagree with that position? That like there's some jobs that are so important that it's like, don't be silly and just be MIA?
Yeah, well, I mean, if we're assuming that the Secretary of Transportation is actually like a key linchpin in all of this, I just think it's very narrow to only recognize the responsibility that, of course, you have to your family, but not recognize any other responsibilities that you may have. And I think there is a little bit of a liberal inclination in that regard, where everything is just about like the individual and self-care. And you see this in our politics, where voters are meant to be vessels of fulfilling the ambitions of the politician rather than the politician serving the people. And so I don't think it's unreasonable to say, like, take a little bit of time off, but this is really serious and things are going really poorly right now. And we're in the middle of a crisis. It happens to be that the Department of Transportation randomly is suddenly this critical, agency in the federal government. Maybe get back to work and deal with that.
Again, it's not like, oh, sorry, the garbage collector's on paternity leave, so we're not going to have any trash collection for 3 months. Like, again, why aren't they acknowledging the fact that there are, like, other people working there? It's not like you go to the Department of Transportation, there's tumbleweeds flowing, like the doors are locked, like the lights are dimmed, no one's home. That's not the situation here.
Now, all that being said, I think Pete Buttigieg is probably totally irrelevant to the supply chain crisis, whether he's there or not. But the intellectual question is an interesting one.
Yeah, and so...
First of all, the intellectual question. Let's be real here. Like, the ego on this bitch. I'm sorry, and again, I mean, I want to be very clear, folks. I need to be very clear when I say this. I mean, this is something that we all need to be aware of as we go into this, is that Krystal Ball follows me on Twitter. So when I say this bitch, I say that in a loving way. I refer to myself as a bitch. We've never interacted, but she follows me on Twitter. She also follows 5,000 people. So, I mean, I don't know. That being said, an intellectual question. Come on! This isn't an intellectual question. It's not. Like, Pete Buttigieg is not like the Secretary of Transportation is the only person working there. It's an entire department. It's a whole building, bitch. Like, I mean, come on. Like, and again, I say bitch in the most loving way possible. But this is not an intellectual question. But let's assume, right? Because we all love postulating things that are untrue for the sake of whatever, right? Let's assume it is an intellectual question. It's certainly not an interesting one. It's definitely not an interesting one. So not only is it not intellectual, it is also not interesting. I'm just throwing that out there.
But when I first saw the people who judge thing, my reaction was that this is actually terrible for paid leave, paid family leave, paid paternity leave, period, because now it's going to be viewed as the...
So now this is the crux of why this video is stupid. This is why, like, okay, so this is like, okay, like something happening is bad for that policy because the right's going to attack it. Huh? So the right is going to lie about something, like Joe Rogan is doing, and that proves that we shouldn't do that thing in the first place? Huh? What?
This trivial, selfish, narcissistic thing that people exploit, as opposed to what it really is, which is absolutely crucial and vital and important and something that we're lagging behind the rest of the world on. So before you jump in, I just want to show one of the charts first, guys. Throw this up there. So you can see here, the United States.
Again, the right is going to attack Medicare for all. Let's assume in Biden's fucking stupid ass bill that's gone, like, it's destroyed, it's trash. But let's assume, like, maybe he gives, like, a trial run and, like, 13 grandmas get, like, free dentures. Is that bad? Oh, those 13 grandmas are selfish. Look at that socialism. Should we not do that? Like, I'm really confused by this argument. It doesn't make sense to me.
Dead last 0 days when it comes to government mandated paid leave for new parents. Now that's both maternity leave, paternity leave, family leave in general. Like you mentioned, if there's like a sick parent or something like that, you need to take care of them. So we have 0 days. Now look at the rest of that list. You have Estonia with 86 weeks. Then you have Bulgaria underneath them, Hungary underneath them, Japan underneath them. And you go down the list, like Norway is pretty high up there. Germany's up there. So this is something that I think he misunderstands, because he even mentions like you paying for it as the employer. No, in most of those countries, the government picks up the tab. It's not.
So I do appreciate this correction, because again, Joe Rogan is stupid. But again, Kyle, you're friends with Joe. Tell him this. And now again, let's assume Kyle does tell Joe Rogan, or Joe Rogan watches this video and understands the critique. Now, your next goal is to push him to issue a correction on his next show. Right? I would love to see if Joe Rogan goes on his next show and says, I said some really stupid shit last week. You know, my buddy Kyle Kulinski called me on the phone. He said I was being dumb. He showed me some stats. And yeah, like, you know, if he does that, all right. But I'm not holding my breath for it.
That's the whole point of having government-mandated paid family leave, whether it's maternity leave, paternity leave, or what have you, because, I mean, it's generally understood, especially if you're a smaller business, you know, you probably can't foot that bill. A lot of them can't foot that bill. So if you have a system like that where it comes out of tax funds, well, then everybody wins. And the question you can really think about in the context of the United States is, okay, do you want our tax money going towards 17 new wars, like it always seems to go towards? Do you want our tax money going towards endless bailouts of Wall Street to the tune of trillions?
Hey, I'm in 100% agreement right now.
Dollars with no strings attached? Do you want to go into stupid pork barrel projects that you know don't really give us anything fruitful, or do you want to go into families? Right. And the funny thing is, this is not really a comment directed at Joe as much as it's directed at people on the right in general, but you do see this right-wing backlash to this policy when they portray themselves as the pro-family people.
Yeah, so that was part of what I wanted to say too. You know, it's interesting on that list, the second or third country up there is Hungary, which is like, you know, there's this sort of right-wing obsession with Hungary and with the policies that are coming out of Hungary, and partly because they're like intensely focused on...
I don't know if I'm going to watch the rest of this, to be honest. I'm bored. But anyway, I'm just being honest with y'all. But anyway, like, again, this fascination... Like, and I get it. Like, if my friend or whatever, if I had friends, I don't have friends. I isolate myself. I'm an antisocial moron. But, like, let's assume I have a friend. All right, great. My friend says something stupid. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to say, hey, friend, come on now. Right? So if Kyle Kulinski's whole role that he views himself as to be the come on now guy for Joe Rogan, all right, all right, fine. But, I mean, again, this shit is dumb. It's dumb, folks. It's dumb. Like, I mean, like that's my problem. Is like, okay, so we shouldn't do paternity leave because if we do it, someone will say it's bad, and if they say it's bad, then it becomes less popular. What? Isn't it your job to make it so that doesn't happen? Aren't you in the media? Like, I don't know, man. It's this whole fascination with Joe Rogan and how he must be protected and defended at all costs that Kyle Kulinski has. I find that it's a significant problem with him, and it's one of the reasons why I stopped watching his show. I used to watch his show every single day a couple years ago. But one of the main reasons is because he has these weird hang-ups that is so fucking annoying, and I can't deal with it. Oh no, now I've made the chat upset with my no friends comment. Please, please, please. Now all my friends hate my guts because of my opinion on the Kyle Kulinski situation. Fuck. But I mean, again, like, this guy, like, tactics-wise, I don't understand what it is. I really don't. I'm going to, like, try to listen to the rest on 2X. Let's see if we can get through this.
The family, some of their very xenophobic policies have forced an out-migration, and so they're doing all sorts of things to try to encourage their population to have kids and to build families and whatever. But and this again is not directed at Joe, it's directed at people in general on the right who are big critics of this. It doesn't really fit with the whole idea of, like, family is actually important as a building block, and kids need their parents, and, like, that's actually something
I agree with this.
Which, by the way, I'm just talking about right-wing politicians, because if you pass back to work, not away from at work, even if they have kids at the time to be able to suffer from a paid family leave, happens within your family that you need some time to be able to deal with.
I agree.
That means that we only start to value human beings as commodities and what they can bring to the labor force, when in reality we'd have a much healthier, more balanced, and much happier society if we did place some more values in terms of family and community and those sorts of institutions as well, which, to go back to
I do agree with all of
or
this.
C-sections, which is a major surgery, which takes a long time to recover from.
Yes.
The idea that just one person can take care of the baby, given that context, is ludicrous.
Right.
And, you've talked about one of this.
Or it's going to be
Time. Should here's a picture. The United States has, in we can to try to give people more time off, that we should regulate the marketplace every single
be for helping to foster the means for your
Yeah, okay, so the rest of this video is pretty good. Again, it's just regurgitating things I agree with, so that's fine. I have no need to play with it. My criticism is over, folks. And that's right. Hear me out. I know whenever I criticize left-wing YouTubers, or ostensibly left-wing YouTubers, or liberal YouTubers, I do get that contingent of people that say, ugh, why are you trying to cancel them? I'm not trying to cancel anybody here. I watch the parts I have problems with. I criticize them. I agree with the rest. The rest is fine. So I'm glad that they're promoting values that I agree with. And the second half of the video, I would have preferred that be in the first half, because we all know how audience retention works on YouTube. People get bored. So I would have preferred that on the first half. Hey, that's fine. It's all good. I just wish this motherfucker would stop, doing what he's doing with Joe Rogan. If Joe Rogan is truly a super lefty, have him issue a correction on his show. He was wrong, and he said something stupid. Call him on the phone, tell him he's drunk, say come on now, and then make him issue a correction on the next show. Don't just make a YouTube... I thought he's your friend, bro. Like, Kyle Kulinski is not my friend. Krystal Brawl is not my friend. It's not like I can DM them and say, yo, I think you're doing a little... Though, that being said, Krystal Ball follows me on Twitter. Huh? I don't know what's going on here. Never interact. Should I send her a DM? What do you think? What should I do? Anything? I'm going to outsource this move. I don't know what's going on there. But anyway, I hope she enjoys my content. Anyway, that's it. That's all I have to say on the situation.